Everyone knows the name of the first overall pick in the NBA draft, and probably even the first few picks of the NBA draft, maybe even the top 10. But every single year, there are guys that are drafted in the second round that always outperform their first round peers. And today we're going to be highlighting the top 10 greatest second round picks in NBA history. At number 10, we have Paul Millsap, who was drafted 47th in 2006 and ended up being a 4-time All-Star and a 1-time All-Defensive Player. His career lasted a very, very, very long time, and he ended up being a very productive big man for the Utah Jazz, Atlanta Hawks, Denver Nuggets, and Philadelphia 76ers throughout his career. And when he was in Atlanta, that was honestly his best part of his career, where he was an all-star and led his team to multiple playoff appearances and a 50-win season one year. This Atlanta team was just very underrated because you didn't have that one big star, but you had guys like Millsap, Jeff Teague, even Al Horford was on that team, and this team was very solid, and Paul Millsap does not get the recognition that he deserves, and that's why he's the 10th best second-round pick of all time. At number 9, we have Maurice Cheeks, who was drafted at number 36 in 1978 and ended up playing 15 seasons in the NBA and is now in the Hall of Fame as a 4-time All-Star and a champion in 1983. He also made 5 all-defensive teams and played most of his career with the Philadelphia 76ers and bounced around the league as he got to be a veteran throughout the past couple of seasons in his career. But he was a very effective player throughout his career and was most notably a really good defender, as was mentioned in the 5-time all-defensive mentions. And Mo Cheeks is known for mostly his name, but at the same time, he was a very, very, very good player for a very long time and helped Philadelphia win a championship in 1983. At number 8, we have Gilbert Arenas, who was more known for his off-court actions, but was a very, very, very talented player and was drafted 31st overall in 2001. He was drafted by the Golden State Warriors and is most notably known for his time in Washington, where he was a 3-time All-Star and a 3-time All-NBA player, and he was the most improved player in 2002-2003. He was a very skilled point guard and very quick, and kind of helped to revolutionize the game in terms of shooting the basketball, as well as he was a fairly solid three-point shooter, shooting 35.3% from three throughout his entire career. And Gilbert Arenas was a very polarizing figure when he was in the NBA, but I think he was mostly loved throughout the NBA fan base. So that's why he is known as one of the best second-round picks in NBA history. At number 7, we have Alex English, who has to be one of the most underrated players in NBA history. He was drafted at 23rd overall in 1976 when there was less teams in the NBA, so 23rd overall was a second-round pick, and he developed into one of the best players in the entire NBA. He led the NBA in scoring once and averaged over 25 points a game multiple times in his NBA career, with his highest points per game average being 29.8 in 1986-87. And he was a 8-time All-Star and a 3-time All-NBA member and is now a part of the NBA Hall of Fame and is known as one of the best pure scorers of his era and generation when he was playing alongside the likes of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. At number 6, we have Toni Kukoc, who was drafted at number 29 overall in the 1990 NBA draft, and while he stayed overseas playing in Yugoslavia and Italy for the first 3 years of his professional career, he ended up coming over to play with Chicago and won 3 NBA championships with the Bulls in a row from 1996 to 1998, and was a key contributor in those championships in that three-peat with Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman, and Scottie Pippen. He came off the bench mostly with this team because the forward spots were taken by Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, who are 2 of the greatest players of all time. But he averaged a lot of points per game and was a key contributor, like I said. His highest points per game average was 18.8 and was a 6th man of the year in 1995-96. He was a very good scorer and provided a lot of depth for these Chicago Bulls teams for a big run in the 1990s. At number 5, we have Marc Gasol, who was drafted 48th overall in 2007 NBA draft and had a remarkable career while also playing in the NBA alongside his brother Pau. He played for 14 seasons in the NBA and was a 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA player, a 2008-09 All-Rookie player, and was an all-defensive player as well as being a 2019 NBA champion with the Toronto Raptors and being a key contributor in that championship run for the Raptors. Without Marc Gasol, they wouldn't have had nearly the same success as they did, especially against Joel Embiid in that run. And Marc Gasol has been one of the best playmaking and shooting centers that we've seen and helped to revolutionize the center position going back to the late 2000s and throughout the 2010s. He was one of my favorite players to watch and was just such a easy, smooth player throughout his prime. And while he was overshadowed a little bit by his older brother Pau, who was a superstar for the Lakers, he had a very, very, very good career, especially for a second-round pick and being drafted as late as he was. At number 4, we have Draymond Green, who was drafted 35th overall in the 2012 NBA draft and is one of the most known and polarizing players within the 2010s and early 2020s. He's played a big role in 4 championships for the Golden State Warriors and is a 4-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA player, 8-time All-Defensive player, and the 2016-2017 Defensive Player of the Year. He is a guy that is a motor for a team and was the motor for that Warriors team. While Steph Curry and Kevin Durant were the main superstars on the team, he was a defensive anchor for the Warriors and was a guy that provided a lot of energy, and now later in his career is getting a bad image as a dirty player, but still played a huge role on these Warriors teams and was a huge factor in them winning 4 championships, and I don't think they win all 4 without him. His impact was seen when he got suspended in the 2016 finals against the Cavs, where the Cavs ended up coming back and winning the series after he missed 1 game once they were up 3-1 in the NBA finals. At number 3, we have another guy who played a huge role in a dynasty in Manu Ginobili, who was drafted 57th overall, or second last in the 1999 NBA draft. Manu was a huge part of the San Antonio Spurs dynasty that lasted almost 20 years, and was a 2-time All-Star, 4-time NBA champ, and 2-time All-NBA player, and also a Hall of Famer at this point in his life, but was mainly known for taking a back seat and going off the bench in Greg Popovich's system so that their second unit would have more of depth. But he was a very selfless player and could have easily put up bigger numbers, had more accolades, and won more awards. But because of his selflessness, he played a bigger role in winning championships. And throughout his career was a 4-time NBA champion and won a 6th Man of the Year award in 2007-2008. And Manu is known as one of the key players in that dynasty run alongside Tony Parker and Tim Duncan. And he was honestly a very fun player to watch throughout his entire NBA career. And when he retired in 2018, he was still one of the most loved players in all of basketball. At number 2, we have Dennis Rodman, who's arguably the greatest rebounder of all time. He was drafted 27th overall in 1986 when there were less teams in the NBA, so 27th was again in the second round. But Dennis Rodman was a part of 2 dynasties, if you count the Detroit Pistons, the dynasty when they won back-to-back championships in 1989 and 1990. And then he went to the Chicago Bulls and was part of a 3-peat there and was a key contributor with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Dennis Rodman was a 2-time All-Star, a 2-time All-NBA player, a 5-time champ, 8-time All-Defensive player, and a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and is now in the Hall of Fame. And he was named to the NBA 75th anniversary team as one of the 75 greatest players of all time. He was known for his reckless abandon on the court and his wild lifestyle off of it, and is a very polarizing player, but loved by a lot of fans back in that era just because of his wild, free personality and his dominance on the rebounds off on the floor. And without Dennis Rodman, I don't know if the Chicago Bulls would have won that second 3-peat from 1996 to 1998. And he is the second player from that Bulls dynasty on this list after Tony Kukoc. At number 1, we have Nikola Jokic, who was drafted famously during a Taco Bell commercial at number 41 overall and has now blossomed into a 2-time MVP, Finals MVP, and NBA champion only a few years into his NBA career, and has cemented himself as probably the best center in the last 5 to 10 years within the entire NBA. And he has been dominant through the past few seasons and is recognized as easily the best second-round pick of all time, especially with the story that he does of being drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. And I think that this season he could easily win his 3rd MVP, and the Nuggets have a great chance for him to win his 2nd NBA championship as well this season. And he will only continue adding to his legacy, and already he is the only second-round player to ever win MVP of the entire NBA. Anyways, let me know what you think of this list in the comment section below. Let me know what you would change or if there's anyone that should be added to the list. God bless you all. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so that I can get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of April. God bless.